The U.S. Senate race in Alaska will feature two candidates named Dan Sullivan and a candidate named Mary Peltola. The candidates are competing in the Alaska primary election. The election is scheduled to take place on August 16, 2026. The Alaska primary election is a crucial step in the U.S. Senate election process. The election will determine the Republican and Democratic nominees for the U.S. Senate seat in Alaska. Dan Sullivan is a Republican candidate. Mary Peltola is a Democrat and the current representative for Alaska's at-large congressional district. Dan Sullivan has been a U.S. Senator from Alaska since 2015. Mary Peltola has been a member of the U.S. House of Representatives since 2021. The U.S. Senate seat in Alaska is currently vacant. The Alaska primary election is expected to be closely contested. The election will determine the Republican and Democratic nominees for the U.S. Senate seat in Alaska. The U.S. Senate election in Alaska is a key battleground in the 2026 midterm elections. The election will have a significant impact on the balance of power in the U.S. Senate. The U.S. Senate election in Alaska is expected to be highly competitive. The Alaska primary election is scheduled to take place on August 16, 2026. The election will determine the Republican and Democratic nominees for the U.S. Senate seat in Alaska. Dan Sullivan has been endorsed by former President Donald Trump. Mary Peltola has been endorsed by former President Barack Obama. The Alaska primary election is expected to be closely watched by national media outlets.